Hey everyone, welcome to this new installment of Revolutions, the ongoing diary of my spins. I would like to start this video with a big shout out and thank you to Alex, Motoric247, I think his channel is, who made a special lockdown mix for me, which I encourage everybody to go and watch. It's a mix of ambient and obscure sort of Japanese kind of electronic music. It's really a fantastic mix. It's a lot to dig in, he called it the special quarantine. I'm not really in quarantine, but it's a lockdown mix. Today marks the 200th day of full lockdown in Melbourne since last year. So well, yes, I can concur that yes, we are really locked down. I'll try to take the positives where I can, and I play lots of records and I watch lots of movies. You've got to see you've got to try and be as positive as you can be, otherwise you just go crazy. So thank you so much, Alex, and subscribe to Alex if you haven't. He's a great contributor to the vinyl community, to my vinyl community at least, because I don't think there's such a thing as the vinyl community. There's various vinyl communities. Alex suggested to me the other day that I do a stream, and I might do a stream this coming weekend on Saturday night. I've got plenty of time anyway. Maybe around 10 p.m. in Melbourne time, so that'll give you a rough estimate of what time it is in your own country. If you want to join, interact with me, talk crap, that would be great. Now for the records, as per usual, I have 20 records to show you that I've been playing, revisiting. I've got a couple of new releases to show you, but just a mix. Here is, I'll start with a pair of Krat Rock classics, if you will. This is AR and Machines with Die Grüne Reise, the Green Journey, which is a sort of a classic Achim Reichel project. It's basically just him. He just composed and plays all instruments. I think it's from the early 70s, maybe 1972. It's a bit of a hit and miss record for me. It's kind of psychedelic in places and really quite wild, and in other places it loses me a bit. But I would say, I don't think it's an essential Krat Rock record, in my opinion anyway. You might disagree, but that's why we've all got different opinions, and I'm not trying to please anyone here. It's just myself. I only give you my truthful opinion on what I think it sounds like, and it's all relative to what I think. So if you disagree, then maybe write me a comment. Here is another Krat Rock album that I hadn't played for about 3 or 4 years, maybe more. It's Novelis with Sommerabend, Summer Evening. It's quite fantastic Art Nouveau type sleeve. Not at all with what the music sounds like. It's like symphonic prog and kind of pastoral folk in places. I really quite enjoyed this record when I was playing it. I played it yesterday actually, more than I thought I would. The first track is a guitar prog fest, very memorable tune. And then it moves into more, as I said, pastoral folk with lyrics in German. This is one of these sort of brain, it's a lovely label. I don't often show labels because I don't think there's any sort of sense in spending half an hour showing labels, but this is overall a nice album. I don't know if I'll keep it per se. I mean, always Cal Records. And it's all right. It's from 1975, I think, a bit later, 74, 75, around that time. Here is a lovely record from Holland. This is called Biologic music. We are firmly no longer in the krautrock territory here. We're into the sort of Midori Takada, Steve Reich meets sort of African percussion type of record. It's basically a drumming record, more or less, with a little bit of sax. So the band's called HPE, the Erlens Percussie Ensemble. I don't know if you can pick this up on the camera. It should be able to zoom. It's the percussion ensemble of Herlens. Herlen, excuse me. It's spelled Herlen. Is a town in the south of Holland, and this was a bunch of percussion artists, or well, drummers, led by this guy, the guy in the middle, the old guy. His name is Jelmo Piovesana. He was a teacher, and he formed this ensemble. And in the mid 70s, and this record was made in the mid 80s, in 1985, I think, or 86. And as I said, it's a beautiful sort of ambient drumming record. You know, yeah, I think Midori Takada is the most correct comparison I can give you, but with a more African kind of sound. This is a reissue on Hot Mule, a French label. Very highly recommend this record. It is just really sensational. A little bit of sax, but very percussive and very, very, you know, quite, you know, if you sped it up, you know, you got this kind of like almost techno-ish beats. Here is an electronic record in the sort of a Tangerine Dream kind of mold. Mark Shrive is I think he's an Englishman. There he is, Thought of War, very sort of like, yeah, pulsating, kind of bubbling synths. He plays all sorts of, you know, he's got Yamaha CS30 there, and some other sort of, he's got a coat hanger as one of the instruments. Yeah, why not? And with, yeah, some flanger, some tape loops, voices. Very, very, very cool record from 1981 on Uniton, which is a label from Norway. So on the Norwegian label, kind of a little obscure piece, which I picked up years ago, you know, because, you know, it was in a local shop. It looked interesting. Another kind of obscure-ish electronic record is this one, Pascal Longhier, and the album is called the Harmonia Universalia, and it is a Quebec. Pascal Longhier is from French-speaking Canada, and again we've got this kind of like Tangerine Dream, but with a more sort of new age feel. This record is from 1980. Yeah, it's very sort of anchored in that kind of new agey style, but it's a beautiful, beautiful record as well. Lots of, yeah, there's a bit of, you know, it's made with a Roland guitar synth GR500, Jupiter 4, a Farfisa, and some Moogs, some mini Moogs and Moogs. So it gives you the bit of type of sound that you're gonna get from this. Again, continuing with more electronic music, I've been on a journey here. This is a classic French band, Space Art. One of these kinds of early French pioneers of that sound. You know, you could say the Daft Punk of their time. This is from 1970, I think 1976, 1977. Or maybe a bit later. I think it's their first record, I can't remember. I've also got the other album, plus a few of the singles. They're not very expensive in France, you can tell, there's still the price sticker. And yeah, A Trip in the Center Head, it's called. And yeah, it's kind of a mix between, like, you know, electronic, a little bit of disco, you know, there's a little bit of a disco vibe in there, and you know, very sort of yeah, driving, pulsating synths, space art. Again, more electronic music. I mean, I sort of put them into piles of styles of music. Forte, the classic, Rounds, an album everybody should own in my opinion. It's a beautiful, beautiful IDM record. I'm not going to say too much about this. You know, Kieran Hebden keeps making interesting records. This was released in 2001. Is probably his best record to date. And if you don't believe me, then play My Angel Rocks Back and Forth, or As Serious as Your Life. Play the songs, and there is no doubt that this album will interest you. Here is a new release. So last Friday was my birthday, and I decided to treat myself to a few presents because nobody would give me any. And so I bought myself a few records. I hadn't bought records for a month, so that was a welcome self gift, self present. This is I can't tell you a lot about this. This is called Slip D and the Adlib Collective Flashed Glasses. It's the meeting of two electronic producers, Slip D, they're two, and the names are Corey Kikos and Marius Swawish. I can't say his name at all. Doesn't matter really. And the Adlib Collective is a bunch of classical jazz musicians. So you got percussion, sax, oboe. In fact, you got 3 people on percussion and somebody on viola as well. And so what you've got is a mix of ambient and a little bit of classical there, with some beautiful sort of beats. This record would appeal to, if you like, you know, spacey ambient music with a little bit of a classical influence. Oh, you would love this. This is beautiful. And this is from Melbourne, Australia. So I don't think you're going to find this very easily. You know, it's even got the Victoria logo there. We are. I like this record a lot. Here's a segment that I could call Records You Should Own. Here is the very first Durity Cullen album, which is called The Return of the Durity Cullen. This is a beautiful, again, ambient. Like, the thing with Vinnie Riley is, I mean, if you don't know the Durity Cullen, is the name of the project by Manchester born and bred Vinnie Riley, signed on Factory Records by Tony Wilson, obviously the Factory Record man. Yeah, the interesting Factory label there. And this record came out originally in a sleeve which was made of sandpaper, which was designed to destroy all the records around it. And this is the Australian repress. I'm glad it's not on sandpaper. And this is just a beautiful ambient. It doesn't sound like anything on Factory Records, and it doesn't sound like anything of its time, which is the sort of early 80s or whatever, 1979. Okay. It's got a real, ethereal kind of sound, this record. I advise you to take a listen. It's guitar, but played in a sort of ethereal way. I don't know. My vocabulary is lacking this morning. Must own this record. A record that everybody should own. Talk Talk, The Color of Spring. I think my favorite Talk Talk record. I'll say this, my favorite Talk Talk record. This is the transitional record between the first two sort of 80s pop records, It's My Life, The Party's Over, It's My Life, and then the two sort of post-rock records, which The Spirit of Eden and Laughing Stock, which are great records, don't get me wrong, but I think this one is the one that I would go back to. If I was making a top 10 of the 80s, I would put this record in, for sure. It's just, it's a masterpiece. Happiness is easy, I don't believe in you, life's what you make it, living in another world, give it up. I mean, it's just chock full of amazing, amazing songs. The songwriting is off the charts. Record You Must Own, Part 3. Arthur Russell, Calling Out of Context, which is a great collection of Arthur Russell songs, reissued in 2004. I bought this at Academy Records in New York with when I met Mike and Tony. Hello Mike and Tony, you'll be watching this. This record is, I think, my favorite, probably my favorite Arthur Russell record of all the records that I have by him. If you don't know who Arthur Russell is, you know, he was a kind of a boy genius from New York, from the sort of late 70s, early 80s. He made very difficult to classify music. You know, there's a bit of mutant disco there. He made some folk records. He made some country folk records. He made some ambient records. It's just very. He was a maverick, really, and he died way too young from AIDS, actually. But he was a cellist, actually, and experimental in every way. Continuing with one of my favorite albums of the 2000s, the debut album by the XX. This is the most accomplished thing that the XX have ever done. I mean, I think after that they sort of became a little bit formulaic. This is a trio from London, young kids they were when they made this. There's Jamie XX on percussion, and then Romy, and the name of the guitar player escapes me right now. This was a record that Sarah adored as well, my wife. This is the Sarah segment. In each video I talk about Sarah, but she was very important to me, so it's the reason why. And we went to see them at the time on this tour. The tickets are still in the record, and they were fantastic. Notably Jamie XX, who really is a real master of his craft on the drum pads. I mean, he's not playing drums. They're just pads which he played with his hands. There's no sticks or anything. This contains some amazing, beautiful songs: Basic Space, VCR, Heart Skipped a Beat. This is, to me, it's a masterpiece. I love this record, and I mean, I don't know if you know this record, but I just love it. I think it's an excellent record for me, personally. I'm thinking, this is an idea that I've had, and you can tell me if you dig that idea. I made a couple of years ago a best of the 2010s, obviously because the 2010s were over, and so I made like a top 30 of the 2010s, and I'm thinking I might do the same with the 2000s, the 1990s. Like, I don't know if that would interest you, like a top 30 of my favorite albums, obviously, of each decade. And I would definitely put that in. An album that's not too far sonically from the XX. I mean, the XX also, what I didn't say is, this is a mix between, what do you hear in the XX? It's a bit of Cocteau Twins with, it's very sort of, it's a dual vocal dream pop record. I think that's the best way I can describe it. Psycho Candy by the Jesus Mary Chain. I was spinning a lot of Loveless in the past few weeks, and this was a natural sort of like extension to Loveless. although it came out 5 years before Loveless, but I mean, you know, there's a sonic extension for me to go and to go further into the sound. And I love Psycho Candy. I think it's just a really, really great, yeah, a great shoegaze album, you know, from a band who has got a sound. Like nobody sounds like the Jesus and Mary Chain, I think. Tastes just like honey, yeah, Taste the Floor, Never Understand. I mean, it's such a great record. You Trip Me Up, like those distorted guitars and those Phil Spector beats. That's what you come here for. Continue with shoegaze. Here is a Spanish shoegaze record. The band is called Belveryin, and the album is called Luz Bell. This band, very little is known about them. They were a Spanish band. I think they're from Madrid, from memory. And they made this record in 1990 or 1991. And it's a beautiful, yeah, shoegazy, if you like Ride and the Cocteau Twins. And maybe a bit of, I don't know, Diff Jazz, if you know Diff Jazz. That's the sonic kind of ballpark of this record. It's a really nice record. This is a reissue from 2020 on Efficient Space. Belveryin, Spanish shoegaze. You can place that in a sentence with your co-worker. You know, what are you listening to at the moment? Spanish shoegaze. See how their face changes. Here is a fantastic, absolutely gorgeous Australian dream pop album by Carla Dal Forno. She is a Melbourne artist, but I think she lives in the UK now. A label is even a reference to an area around here. It's called Kalista Records, and Kalista is a town up there. There's a mountain just right behind my house. There's a mountain which you can see, and Kalista is on the mountain. This mixes a little bit of post-punk, dream pop, kind of DIY sensibility, beautiful vocals, again ethereal vocals. Lovely record from 2019, as I said, on Kalista Records. Look up sharp, take a listen. Very, very nice record. I upgraded my copy of Court and Spark. I've got this trash copy of Court and Spark. There's stickers everywhere. It looks like somebody's taking a piss on it, really. And so this is the lovely Rhino 2013 remaster, sort of audiophile grade remaster. So it's one of my favorite Joni Mitchell's albums. I think maybe my second favorite after Blue. You know, it's just like Free Man in Paris and these kinds of, you know, the title track, Court and Spark. It's got a beautiful vibe, this record. And it's very jazzy, you know. You've got, you know, like for example, Milt Holland on woodwind. You've got Tom Scott on trumpet on this. You have electric piano by Joe Sample. You know, like just really classy kind of like bridge between, you know, folk and jazz. Yeah, a folk jazz record. This is the 1971 segment. Every week I've spotlighted a 1971 record. This week my 1971 record is this John McLaughlin, My Goals Beyond. What a trip. The first side is just an amazing sort of like raga, jazz fusion trip. And you've got Billy Cobham on this, Jerry Goodman, Dave Liebman on sax, Eto Moreira, Charlie Hayden on bass. You've got a couple of Indian musicians as well. This is a smoker. You can find this for not much as well. It's a great record. My Goals Beyond, 1971. Very recommended. I was listening to a podcast about the song Superstition by Stevie Wonder, and I was just, it was just interesting to hear the podcast person talk about the influence of Jeff Beck on Talking Book, and so it made me want to re-explore Blow by Blow, a great jazz fusion record from 1975. I think maybe the best. I mean, I'm not really a Jeff Beck fan personally, but this record is worth having just because it's just so freaking funky and it's so accomplished, There's even a cover of She's a Woman by the Beatles, which is, it's okay, but there's better songs than that. Scatterbrain is great. Jeff Beck, Blow by Blow, which I just revisited and enjoyed. Here is a record that I picked up probably about a year ago from now, on a whim, like it was in a local store. It was only $30 for Australia. It's nothing, and I just love the sleeve. And then so I came across, this is called John Dennis New Piano Expressions, and it's got Max Roach and Charles Mingus on it. It's a trio. What a fabulous record, fabulous sort of, yeah, I mean, look, Monk comes to mind. You can compare this to a Thelonious Monk record. I think that's the closest thing I can compare it to. Sort of post-bop vibes. I think it's from the 1950s. I can't remember the year exactly, but it's definitely a 1950s record. And it was, as I said, it was a complete blind buy at the time. But I really love this record, this jazz record. A couple more. Here is the brand new release, one of the records that I treated myself to for my birthday. The brand new release by Les Filles de Iligadad. Les Filles de Iligadad are a band from Mali, I think. Niger, excuse me. So a band from Niger, and they're a trio of vocalists, and this is a live record. It's just come out recently, 2021, and they're playing live in, I think they're in New York. Yes, yeah, 2 sold out shows. The band brought Iligadad to New York, their first performance in the city. So it's a live show in New York. It's on Sahel Sound. It's, if you like Tishu Maren, this kind of like desert blues with high soaring vocals. It reminds me a lot of also North African music, like Algerian kind of folk music, but it's fantastic record. I'm saying fantastic a bit too much. I'm starting to lose my my mojo. Last one is another new release. It's the third release by Sven Wunda, the Swedish pastiche artist. He likes to go into styles. His first album was trying to make a sort of Anatolian rock, Turkish record, and he made a Japanese style record. And this is a library music record, basically, no more no less. It's kind of like a tribute to like the classic Italian library music from the 70s. It's on piano as usual. There you go. That was my week in music. I hope you enjoyed this installment. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I say fantastic too much. Sorry. Fabulous, gorgeous, amazing, tremendous, incredible. Okay, you're all tremendous and incredible if you're watching and enjoying this video. Leave me some comments, interact with me, and maybe I'll see you in the live stream. Take care.